Let me show you how to create this beautiful, decadent and delicious Oreo rum cheesecake. This one is sure to please. Let's go. It's an Oreo cheesecake, so of course you're going to need your Oreo cookies. I used about 7 packs of Oreo cookies. Each pack contains 6 cookies. So to begin, what I'm doing, I'm just separating the cookies from the cream. Put them in a separate bowl. I used 5.5 packs of cookies for this step. Once that is done, you're going to put your Oreo cookies in a food processor and pulse them on high until you get a nice fine crumb. If you don't have a food processor, what you can do is just put them in a Ziploc bag or an airtight bag, and then you can use something to mash up the cookies as fine as possible. Normally, a rolling pin does the job. So once the cookies have a nice fine crumb, what you're going to do is to just remove about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the crumb and just set it aside for later. In the meantime, you're going to put about 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter in a saucepan on low heat and allow it to come to a melt. Ensure that the heat is not too high because you don't want to burn the butter. While still on low heat, allow the butter to become a nice brown color. Brown butter is normally richer in flavor and aroma. Once the butter is done, you're going to add it to the cookies a little at a time. Give it a few pulses in between. What you're looking for is just for the texture of the cookie to kind of clump together a little bit. You don't want it to be overly buttery and soggy. So just add a little butter at a time. Give it a few pulses and then you go back and check it. So here I'm adding my cookie crumb, which is the crust of my cake, to a springform heart-shaped pan. I'm using a heart shape because it's for Valentine's Day and it's all about the love, okay? So I'm just adding my Oreo crumbs, cookie crumbs, to the bottom of that pan, and I'm going to use a ramekin bowl to press it down, but in the end a spoon did the job. Like, the spoon was the best thing that I could use. So you're just going to spread it, press it down in the bottom of the pan, and ensure that it is level and as smooth as possible. After trying with my hands, the ramekin bowl, and something else, I found out that the spoon was actually like the best tool to use. Look at those nice clean lines that I got. It gave me a really nice shape and I was able to spread out the crust very evenly and smoothly. So use a spoon, guys. The next step is to work on my cream base for this dessert. I'm using some whipping cream. This whipping cream was in the freezer along with the bowl while I was making the crust, so that they could get nice and cold, because when you're working with whipping cream, it has to be cold, and especially if you're in a very hot climate like here in Jamaica, things have to be very cold in order for this cream to whip up. So what I'm doing now, I'm just using my mixer and I am whipping up the cream until it gets a very nice thick texture. As I go along, I'm going to add some sugar and some vanilla. I measured out a half cup of sugar for the entire recipe and I didn't use all of it. So you're just going to literally just sprinkle a little bit of sugar. and add about a teaspoon of vanilla and keep whipping the cream until it gets a very nice and thick texture. Don't add too much sugar right away because there are layers to this cake and each layer requires a little bit of sugar and you don't want it to be overly sweet, so just keep that in mind. Once you have that nice thick texture on your whipped cream, you're going to just put it in the fridge, and then we're going to work on the cream cheese. Now this is the star of the show, guys. This is where the flavor and everything comes from. I am using about a pound of cream cheese, and to that I am going to add the cream from the Oreo cookies. That's the cream that we separated earlier. You're just going to add it to the cream cheese right now. Then I'm going to break up the cream cheese to make it a little bit easier for me to mix with the mixer. You're going to beat the cream and the cream cheese together until it gets nice and creamy and smooth. Remember to scrape down the sides of the bowl so that you don't miss out any part of it. And then you're going to keep mixing until you get a very nice and smooth consistency. At this point, I'm going to add a pinch of salt and a teaspoon of Benjamin's vanilla. And it was at this point that I got the bright idea to add rum. Originally, rum was not a part of the plan, but then I saw the rum in the cupboard and I was like, alright, I'm gonna try my luck. So I'm adding some Wray & Nephew overproof white rum. This is 63% alcohol. It is very strong. And yeah, I'm adding some rum. And then I'm gonna keep beating. And then at this point, you want to, just kind of taste the mixture to see if it need any more sugar, if it need any more vanilla, if it needs some more rum or salt, and you just add to your taste. That is exactly what I did. I ended up adding some more of vanilla and a whole heap more rum. Once the cream cheese is done, you're going to add some of your whipped cream mixture and you're going to mix everything together until it becomes a nice even consistency. You want to ensure that you have more cream cheese than whipped cream mixture. That way the finished cake won't be too soft. So even if you don't use all the whipped cream in this mixture right here, you can save the rest for the topping, so that way you won't waste anything. So just mix up everything until it becomes a nice even consistency, and then we are done with the cream cheese portion of this cake. After you're done mixing and adjusting the flavors to your liking, you're supposed to have something looking like this, nice and thick. So what we're gonna do now is to just scoop it out to our heart-shaped pan on top of the cookie crust that we made earlier. So you're going to scoop it out and try to make an even layer on top. So just spread it out using a spatula and ensure that it's a nice even layer, as even as possible. Try to push it down all the way so you don't get any air pockets in the middle. Now it's time to use up the cookie crumbs that we had set aside from earlier. You're just going to take it and sprinkle it all over the top of your cheesecake. Try to make it as even as possible. You can add as much as you like or as little as you like. I tried to cover all the cheesecake that I could, and this is what I'm left with in the end. So this is basically the cake finished. All we have to do now is to just put it in the fridge overnight, or if it's the same day, you can just put it in the freezer for a couple hours and allow it to firm up. Now we're gonna work on our topping, and our topping is going to be a whipped cream topping. So remember that you have to work in a cold environment with whipped cream. So you're going to chill your bowl again and chill your whipped cream in the freezer just to get it as cold as possible. You're going to whip the cream until it starts to get nice and thick. Then at that point, we're going to add some powdered sugar so we can give some form and shape to the whipped cream. So when we pipe it, it will be nice and firm on top of the cake. Here I'm adding the powdered sugar. I am using a sieve so that we don't get any lumps in our whipped cream. I'm using about half cup of powdered sugar. I'm going to whip it together with the whipped cream and taste as I go along. If it needs more sugar, I'll add it. Remember to check me out on Instagram at Cook Like Sasha. I have some amazing videos over there that are not on YouTube, so go check it out. So after a few hours in the fridge, this is what my cake is looking like. It's set up nicely. I actually had it in the fridge overnight. This is what it's looking like. I took it out the springform pan. It was kind of a challenge to get it out, but I got it out eventually. Now I am assembling my piping bag. So I am cutting off the tip of that bag and then I'm going to fit the piping tip through the little hole at the end, and then the icing, the whipped cream is gonna go in the piping bag, and then we can start putting the whipped cream on top of the cake. To make it less messy, you can put the piping bag in a container and then spoon the whipped cream inside. Here I'm doing a simple swirly design. Guys, this is a pro tip. After you finish making the topping for the cakes, after you finish making the whipped cream, you wanna just practice how the piping is gonna look. So just like put it on a plate or a piece of parchment paper or something. Just practice with the piping tip. See which one of them you like, because trust me guys, it was kind of a challenge before I got to this point to decide which piping tip to do. Plus you also want to see if your whipped cream is stable enough. You want to ensure that it won't melt after you put it on, because trust me, the place is very hot, so you have to ensure that your whipped cream is stable before you pipe it onto the top of your cake. So this is what I did, a nice little heart shape going around the lines. Now I'm just going to put a line, a kind of thick line in between each one of those swirls, and that is where I'm going to then stick my Oreo cookies to make a nice little design going all the way around. I had so much fun making this cake. It turned out so good. And guys, the taste is even better. Trust me, that rum in the cream cheese tastes so good and it looks great. I mean, I would love this for Valentine's Day. I would love to get this for Valentine's Day. If this doesn't say I love you, I don't know what else does. And the fact that you made it at home by yourself, come on guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And until next time, this is Sasha. Bye guys.